welcome to Small Biz Talk. Today we're celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month, and I'm so excited because being Latina, I'd love to support the Hispanic community with inspiring and uplifting creatives, entrepreneurs. And today we have a very special guest, Cely Ledesma, founder of Araceli Beauty. Everyone would like to welcome Cely.
Hi, I'm Cely.
Play a little bit of a game of this or that, just to, break things up, break the ice a little bit. So, corridos or banda?
Banda.
Okay. Paloma or Margarita?
Paloma.
Ooh.
It's a classic.
Paloma, same. And then Espanol or Spanglish?
That's a tough one because Spanish was my first language.
Okay.
And I still speak Spanish to my parents. But in my household, I feel like I do a lot of Spanglish. But Mark is American, so I do like a lot of English with him. But I try to incorporate Spanish, so I'm going to say Spanglish.
Okay. I
do both.
I'm like, Spanglish is my, I'm like, ¿cómo se dice? Pero.
It's like my saving grace.
So it's Hispanic Heritage Month. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about your roots. Pues, ¿de dónde eres?
Yep. Well, I was born in Mexico.
Okay.
I'm from like a small town in Jalisco, and it's like the Altos of Jalisco, and it's called Teocaltiche. And although my parents brought me out here at a very young age when I was 5, throughout my whole childhood, my parents would pack up the car. We either had like a van at some point, and then we switched over to Suburban, and we would do a 36-hour drive to the town, and we would spend like our whole entire summer there, so like 2 months at a time. And I really got to never forget where I came from because I was living it. It was so exciting for us to go every summer. We'd spend 2 months there at a time. And we have a house in the pueblo, but my parents are from ranchos. So we would grow up going to the rancho. Like, that was the exciting thing for us. And it was like the horses, it's like rural rancho. So it's not like a fancy rancho. Like, there was no electricity. Eventually, it evolved. There was electricity, running water. But I did the whole showers con cubetas, and we had to heat up the water. That was our experience. But yeah, I'm very proud of where I come from. I feel like there was a point in time where I was growing up that I didn't feel like where I identified or who I can identify with, because I felt like my family was so unique in the United States. And it took me a little bit of growing up to identify with other people who also had the similar upbringing. And now I love talking about it because I love connecting with other people that have had similar experience that I have had.
Yeah. No, I think from seeing your stories about sharing where you're from, I feel like it's really beautiful, and to know that someone like yourself came from a pueblo, it's inspiring. For sure.
And I love it. And I still speak in Spanish to my parents. So my parents do not speak English. They understand it. I feel like when my sisters and I are kind of talking shit, my mom's like, hey, she understands it, but we speak to her in Spanish. So we're really immersed in our Hispanic culture.
That's good. I feel that sometimes I tend to forget my Spanish, and I'm like, oh, I don't get to practice it a lot. But the fact that your mom is like, hey, make sure you don't forget it.
Yeah. I can't forget it.
That's why we're here, right? Our next question for you would be, where did your love for beauty start?
My love for beauty started at a very young age, and quite honestly, it started with hair. I grew up watching commercials, novelas, right? I would always see, beautiful girls with long hair, and, they look beautiful. But when I was little, I had access to hair. I didn't have access to makeup. Mm-hmm. So I really loved hair, and I loved seeing, these hair commercials, and I fell in love with it. I don't know what it was about hair, but eventually when I was in high school, there was an opportunity for me to go to beauty school. So I did become a licensed cosmetologist, and I did that for a very long time. And I think through that journey, makeup became accessible to me because I grew up, I was working, so I could afford makeup, and I slowly started playing with it, and that evolved into such a huge love for makeup. But when I was little, I do remember that my mom had Avon. If you guys remember Avon.
Yes.
And I remember buying these little lipsticks, and my mom did not like us wearing makeup, but I would sneak these little lipsticks, and with change, I would save up change to buy things from Avon, and I would get these little cosmetics, but then I had to wipe it off if my mom was around. So I feel like I always had a love for it. I feel like as I got older was when I finally found my connection with it, and it became more accessible to me. But I've always kind of loved hair and beauty.
I know. I love that you say it was the novelas, because growing up, I would always see these beautiful actresses and be like, how do they have themselves all put together? Yeah.
I think it was Yadira Carrillo. I don't know if you're familiar with that actress. She was like the villain in a lot of novelas.
Okay.
She started out as she won a beauty pageant, or she didn't win it, but that's what kind of got her famous. She had like this crazy, luscious, like long hair, and I don't have a hair like that. So I was like, how am I gonna make this happen? Because my hair is like this big.
I'm like,
these
are
extensions.
beautiful, Cely.
These are extensions. Thank you very much. So
me, girl.
It didn't happen for me, but I always loved. That's what I fell in love with beauty.
Oh, that's beautiful. Especially the fact that you were looking at like Avon products, because I feel like a lot of the times people are like, "What Avon?" But
Avon.
I'm like, "That's
Avon.
what we grew up with."
Avon.
They're like picking from the booklet. When did you know you wanted to start Araceli Beauty?
I feel like the idea came when I was working. I was working in a salon as a hairdresser, and I started doing freelance makeup. And my makeup journey evolved very organically because it went from like I started experimenting with makeup on myself to my best friend saying, "Hey, I love the way you do your makeup. Can you do my makeup? I'm going." And I remember specifically she was going on a date. So I did her makeup with like my own makeup, and then another friend of mine asked me to do her makeup, and I slowly started building my kit. And when I started doing like quinceañeras, weddings, and started working with clients, I always felt like I wanted to do something for myself because I was working in a salon where I knew if I didn't open a salon for myself, that I was stagnant forever. You know, it was just, I was going to be like a stylist or I could become a salon owner. But I didn't want to become a salon owner. So when I was talking to clients and applying makeup on them, for them, it was so much more complicated than I felt it was. So I always thought, how can I simplify this? How can I create something that can solve a problem to do their own makeup at home, make it a little bit easier, more understand, like they can understand it better. And I started thinking about a kit. And I wanted to make it different because the makeup world is very saturated. Yeah. So I wanted to create something that was different and stood out because makeup is just makeup. You know, I wasn't reinventing makeup. So that's when I started thinking, how can I incorporate my culture into these products to make them different, to make them stand out? And I was born in Jalisco. I don't know if you're familiar with the saying, ojos tapatíos.
Yes.
And so that's what like got me thinking like ojos tapatíos, makeup, like, and a lot of women focused on their eyes. Like sometimes I would get clients that just say like, I just want my eyes. Like I can do my face. I just need help with my eyes. So I built the Jalisco Eyes kit, which had like 2 makeup brushes that I felt like were the easiest, like a blending brush and a packing brush, an eyeliner, a pair of lashes, and an eyeshadow palette. And it was just to simplify doing your own eye makeup. And we call it the Jalisco Eyes, like in the English version of Ojos Tapatíos. But it was during talking to clients and working at a salon and doing freelance makeup that that idea came to me to want to do that.
Yeah, I love that. And I mean, some of my family's from Jalisco, so they're always like, "Oh, los ojos tapatío." Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, I think that's the one part I got. But no, that's really cool. And the fact that you're able to like provide education but still bring a bit of your roots back into your product. What would you say at like what age did you start thinking about starting this business? Was it more like in your mid-20s?
It was my mid-20s. Yeah, for sure. I always had something entrepreneurial about me. For a while, I loved fitness as well. And when I was like really into fitness in my 20s, I loved peanut butter. And I feel like everybody that's into fitness kind of loves peanut butter. And I wanted a natural peanut butter. So I went down this journey of like, what if I can create my own peanut butter and like have my own peanut butter brand? Like I wanted, like, I feel like I always had something like that, but I think makeup was really like my passion. So that's when I really dove into that instead of peanut butter.
I'm glad the beauty worked out, girl. I would have supported the peanut butter too.
You'd be eating my peanut butter.
A little peanut butter and jelly.
I would have brought you some.
Like, to follow up with that is, what would you tell someone who wants to start a beauty brand? Like what were some of the things you felt like early on that you were just like, maybe patience?
Yeah, I would say that. I think patience, take your time, don't rush. When I started working on Araceli Beauty, it took me 2 years to develop. And in my head, it was going to take me 9 months. Like in 9 months, I'm going to have this brand, I'm going to launch it out the door. But there are so many moving parts to a brand. And I would say just start. Because once you start, you will realize, and it will slowly like snowball and you'll figure it out. But if you never start because you're in your head, you're never going to figure all those other steps out. In my head, I thought it was going to be a lot quicker than it really ended up being. And I'm grateful for the experience because I learned a lot, but you think about your product, where to sort it from. I had to test several different products, what I liked, what I didn't like. So that took a really long time to find manufacturers that I really wanted to work with. But then once you have your product, you think about, where am I going to store all this? Yeah. So I had to like find a warehouse that I could afford to put all this product in, pay for the product. Then you have to have a website. Then what are you going to ship your products in? You know, so there's a lot of other little moving parts, but it took me to start to figure those things out, and it did take 2 years. So I would say have patience. I think a lot of people think it happens overnight or it's really easy, and it's not. There was days there that I would show up at the office, and when I started, I was still working my full-time hairdressing job. So I would show up at 7 a.m., be there from 7 to like the time I had a client. Then luckily the salon was around the corner from the warehouse. So it was probably like 2 blocks away. I would go, do clients, do work, come back, and I would do that all day long until like 11 p.m. Do it all over again. And it was a lot of figuring out, but I think patience would be the number one thing when you're starting a business, because it's not going to happen overnight. And even after I launched the business, I still worked my job for 2 years. Wow. So you don't start making money, printing money. I think people think that you start a business and you start printing money and like you're just very successful, but it takes a while to actually get there.
Yeah, and I feel like it's like the work that you're doing behind the scenes, people don't really get to see.
Yeah.
And the fact that you say that it took you 2 years, like, it's so true. A lot of times, I mean, from our personal experience, sometimes our clients are like, you guys can knock it out, like, and we'll be launching in a couple months. I'm like, no. Like, you guys are crazy.
It's a lot back end.
And the fact that you were working your other job as well, like that, Araceli Beauty wasn't your main hustle just yet at that time. So.
Yeah, it took a lot of building up. So if I could share any advice, is be patient and just be consistent. It's a lot of patience and consistency.
Was there ever moments like that you were just like, I want to give up?
All the time. Yes. But I was so invested at that point that I feel like giving up wasn't an option. And it was such a passion project for me that I wanted to see the end result. It was kind of like when I was hairdressing. There was women that would come in and they would want a haircut or want color, and they're like, nope, don't want the blow dry. Like, I don't want to pay for it. And I was like, I just want to do it because I want to see the end result. Like, I want to get to the end. Like, I need to see this through. So I think that was also like an internal thing where, like, even though I had a hard day, I still knew that maybe that day I took a break, took a breather, but the next day I had to get up and I wanted to see it through. So I still pulled my pants up and got in it the next day. But definitely you have those days. I feel like it's normal. There's days nowadays that I still have those days, but I think I just know how to handle them better and know that tomorrow the sun will rise and we'll figure it out.
I love that. What has been your most gratifying product to bring to life?
That's a tough one because all of our products, Araceli Beauty is very inspired by Hispanic culture, specifically Mexican culture, and my experiences and things that I love. Every single product that we've launched has such a big story behind it, and there's so much thought and detail that goes into every product, so I think it's hard to choose one. I would say the Azteca palette, for example, it's an eyeshadow palette inspired by Aztec culture, and we went down the road to really, I really went down a rabbit hole of learning everything about Aztec culture. I just didn't want to create a product that, you stick a name on it and, I sell it, but I wanted to love it so much, and there was so much thought and detail that went to everything. The names, we went down the rabbit hole to find, what the Aztecs used. So like the sun and the moon, they had gods for that. They used cacahuates for certain things they made. Every single name. Then we found the Nahuatl version of it. So if you've ever noticed, there's like the Nahuatl names on the top. There's an Aztec calendar in the front, the box, the packaging. There's like little Aztec designs inside. So there's so much thought into every single product. So it's It's hard to pick just one because everyone is so story detailed. Like Las Flores blushes, they're named after flowers of Mexico. Like the dahlia is the national flower of Mexico, which I also went down a wormhole to learn all that, which I love because I feel like I've learned so much more of Mexico.
Yeah, so much of the culture.
Journey and experience, yeah. So I don't know. I can't say I have a favorite. That's a really tough one. But I would say our palettes. Okay. The palettes are our most fun to create because those, I think, need the most attention, most details.
Yeah, the colors are beautiful, too. Like, from what I've seen. I remember when I first got to see your products in person at the Shop Small Soiree, and I was just like, this is so cool, like, to see that there's so much of your, like, I guess the Mexican roots, right, tied to it, and it was just unique. Like, I hadn't seen that, and I felt like sometimes in beauty there's a lack of representation.
Yeah, and I love that, and I think that was scary starting out at Araceli Beauty because there was a part of me when I was starting, and this was years ago. I feel like right now Latinos are like popular. They're like the it girl, you know, but when I started, it wasn't that way, you know. We didn't have our spotlight yet. So there was a moment in time that I felt really scared, like, how is this going to be received? Yeah. Are people going to think this is like chunti? Like, because I want to create something that's very culture driven, but I've also never seen anybody do it this way. And I wanted it to be different, but is it going to be so different that it sucks, you know? Like, it was very scary, but I am so grateful for how well it's been received as well. So I'm so happy to bring that representation, but it brings me so much more joy to feel accepted and that people have loved it as well.
No, absolutely. I think it's inspirational, and the fact that we can turn to someone that understands, like, our skin tone and how colors that we want to wear as well. Like, you've done an amazing job.
Thank you.
Who has been your mentor? Who have you looked up to through this whole journey?
I feel like my peers. I feel it. I'm constantly, when it comes to Araceli Beauty in the business, I like to do polls and get feedback from audience of like what they want when it comes to creating a product, and I really like to hone in on that because that is my consumer is who I want to cater to. But when it comes to the business, it's been truly like my fiance, which is still weird to say. But
okay, Mark.
He is wise. He's very wise. He's never takes my side just because. He always like puts me in my place. Like I want to rant with him sometimes and be like, nope, this is wrong. And he's like, nope, you have to look at it both ways. You know, so he's very level-headed and has made me understand things in a different way, which I appreciate. And as far as business, he started a business with some of his friends years before I met him. And he's not owner or anything, but he kind of saw how they did it. Yeah. And a lot of that he learned whenever I had questions, he had answers for me. So he's been very helpful when it comes to the business. I don't think that I could do it by myself. I do think I could do it by myself, but it's been so nice to have him there as my rock. Yeah. He gives the best advice. Even like my best friend, who I am so lucky to work with, they text all the time, which is funny to me, you know, but it's so like she calls him for like advice because he does give incredible advice. He is a good talker, and I think he has helped me when I get in my head as well about the business, or if I'm not doing well or if I'm having a bad day. He always kind of put things in perspective, which has helped me a lot throughout my career doing this.
Oh, we love a supportive fiance.
Yes.
And we're fans of Mark here. So.
Thank you.
What has been like the biggest challenge being the owner of Araceli Beauty?
The biggest challenge is kind of navigating it because I don't have a business background. So it's been a lot of trial and error, a lot of learning, a lot of you make mistakes and allow that to put me down. Just know that I'm going to learn from this. And it hasn't been easy. I know when people see the outside, they see like a girl with, she does her hair, her makeup, and you see her. I don't look like this every day. I roll out of bed. Sometimes I have to get into the office. Last night I was there till midnight. It's not always glamorous, but I think it is, in general, to have a business is very challenging. But there are there's ups and downs, you know, and just to learn to navigate them. Mistakes are meant to be made. That's what you learn from them, and you just keep pushing through. I don't know if I answered the question. I think I went off.
I think you did. I think
Okay.
the fact that, it is hard being a business owner. I think a lot of times people think, like, what you see on Instagram or maybe what you see on TikTok, like, that's just a snippet.
Yeah, it is a snippet. Like, it's a lot of back end work that goes into it, which I wouldn't trade it for the world. I'm very grateful, and I love it, and I'm passionate about it, but that doesn't mean it's not hard. But I think any job is hard. You have a boss. It's hard sometimes. Relationships are hard. You go into the office, there might be people that you don't, deadlines, everything. It's always hard, but now you just have to make sure. I think it gets almost harder because sometimes I do have these days that I'm like, oh my God, I wish somebody would just tell me what to do and like I get it done, because I'm really good at doing that. Like I was always really good at any job that I had. Like I climbed my way up the ladder and then I would get bored and I'm like, I need something else. That's why I wanted to do something for myself as well, but it's hard. Sometimes I feel like I just want somebody to tell me what I need to do today, but when you have to figure it out yourself, you have to be the one making the phone calls. You have to figure out what needs to go next. You have to be creative of like what you have to do next to grow and scale a business continuously. That gets hard. It's challenging.
No, I could definitely relate.
I'm sure.
No, but you're doing it, and that's the great thing. And again, like you're inspiring so many other people, entrepreneurs. I think even the Hispanic community, even myself. I think when I saw you and I seen like the fact that you're a business owner and like you have these products, like it takes a lot of work.
It does take a lot of work. And if I can inspire anybody to let them know that they can do it, that is a huge win for me, because I don't think it's impossible. And whenever I talk to anybody, even like in the pop-ups we do, and they want any advice, like I am so happy to answer their questions. Like there's no gatekeeping. What do you want to know? Like ask me questions. I'm always happy to help, because I do believe there's room for everyone.
Yeah.
And everybody can be successful, and we should help each other. I don't ever have a problem with that.
No, and just to add to that, there's people that have told me like, oh, like Cely has helped me with this situation. I'm like, so you're doing amazing work out there for us entrepreneurs. So what's it like balancing your business and your personal life?
Oh, it's difficult. It's difficult. I think that might be one of the things that I struggle with most. It's balance and time management, because not every day is the same, and it'd be easier, I feel like, if I had like every day was the same, but I feel like when you own your business, every day is different. I wear so many hats because I am a small business. I don't have a huge team that I can, that's a dream, to grow and scale and have people to do things for you. But when you're still small, you're wearing a lot of hats, so every day is different, and it's hard to find balance when you're learning how to balance everything. But I do try to I think that was something that I learned early on, and I talked to Mark about, and I said, like we could be having dinner, and sometimes like I brought up work, or he brought up work at 9 p.m. or 8 p.m. when we were having dinner. And I think we just had to create boundaries of, let's try not to talk about work right now. Like, let's really try to have personal time. And that has helped a lot. And on the weekends as well, I try to kind of clock out, even though you never really do, you're 24/7, but I try to clock out to have time for my friends, my family, because if you allow it to consume you, you're going to be always
burn
on.
out.
Yeah, and burn out. So I feel like I've tried to create a little bit of balance. It's difficult when every day is different, but I have tried to create boundaries where I separate work from home. But it's hard. It's hard to like drink enough water, make sure you eat healthy, go grocery shopping, keep your fridge full, call your friend, call your mom,
Go work out.
Yeah, go work out. Like it's so hard to balance all those, but I'm still learning how to figure it out. It might look like I have it all figured out, but I'm still getting there.
It's okay. We're not perfect. Would you say that like you're more of you put everything in your calendar, or you kind of more of like, okay, I can kind of go with the flow today?
That's what's actually kept me organized, is like I put everything in my calendar, and I am a list person. So what has helped me a lot is I have a planner, but I don't feel like I use it as much as like an empty notebook. So I put an empty notebook and I write down everything that I have to do that day with the date on it. And then the next day, or even half of the page, if I don't finish it, I know that what I didn't finish that day is still gonna be overflow.
Okay.
But that's helped me so much. And another thing that's helped me out is be organized at home, like the home being organized.
I've seen your stories of your home, girl. I'm like, I need to bring you to my home.
So I've tried to like organize like every drawer, everything, because if I know where something is, it's gonna make my day that much easier. Because if I spent 30 minutes looking for something, then I've already wasted 30 minutes of my day. So I have tried this year specifically to really organize my home, and it has made it so much easier to know exactly what I'm doing, where I'm going, when I'm getting dressed. For example, this morning I had no idea what to wear. But like I've organized my closet where I looked, I'm like, these are my pants, these are my tops, this is like my long dresses. So when I was trying to figure out like what to wear to get out, it was easy because I was like, yep, this, and I'm out. So being organized at home, I think, has helped me be more productive both at work and at home.
Would you say the business is just as organized? Like when you go maybe into your warehouse and you're like,
I think yes, but the warehouse gets so much messier faster, you know? It's very organized. And for that, I'm so thankful for Crystal, because she's God's gift. Like, not only is she my best friend, I'm so lucky to be able to work with her, but she is a neat freak. Like, if I'm a neat freak, she's like 10 times that. And she keeps the office so organized with where everything is, where everything needs to be. I think whenever I use like the photo studio, I get a little messy, but I try to put it back. But that's normal. You understand that.
It's normal as creatives.
But it's more difficult, but it is organized. It is.
Yeah, no, I've seen your stuff, girl. I'm like, I need you in my life. How have Latinas been an influence in beauty to you?
I feel like Latinas have been such a huge influence in beauty. And from the time, for example, that I started doing like my Instagram journey, I started Instagram when I was hairdressing, and I used it as my portfolio.
Okay.
So that's how like my Instagram evolved. I was using Instagram as my portfolio. I would post my clients, and I was trying to get new clients. So that's where I would, like, if anybody asked me, I think it was just an easy, accessible way for people to look me up and be like, this is the work I've done. What I slowly realized, like, if I would post a selfie, it would get like 10 times more likes than my hair clients. And people would constantly ask me, what are you wearing? What do you do? You know? And during that time, it was like 2016, 2015. This is when like influencing started with the OG, what are called like now the OG influencers. So for example, like I Love Sarai, Desi.
Was it Makeup by Shayla?
But like Beauty Bird, Chula, like those, I feel like so many of the OG beauty influencers are Latinas.
Yes.
So I feel like there was such a big influence of Latinas in beauty, and right at the peak of it when it was kind of having its viral moment. So I think Latinas have had a huge impact on beauty when it comes to just like in the influencer world. As far as like, I think celebrity, to me, being very like traditional Mexican, I feel like Frida Kahlo has been such an influence. Maria Felix, I feel like she definitely wore a lot of makeup, and it was the classic eyeliner with the white eyeliner. She wore lashes. So it just depends where, but I do feel like there's been such a big influence in beauty. Salma Hayek, Selena,
iconic,
you know, like the classic red lip. Like I feel like Latinas have influenced beauty so much.
Yeah, I feel like it's now that we're getting more like recognition.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if you may feel that way too, but
I do feel like that there's been a shift. Like I mentioned when I first started at Araceli Beauty, I don't think we had the spotlight, but I feel like it's slowly Latinos have now been on the spotlight, which I love. I think it's beautiful.
I 100% agree. So how can we make an impact on the community and claim our trends that we've been doing for so many years?
I feel like the biggest way to impact our community is supporting each other. There is a fact that I read within the Jewish community, money gets handed amongst them up to 10 to 20 times, don't quote me, I don't remember exactly, before it actually exits the Jewish community, which I think is so beautiful. And what that means is they shop at a local Jewish deli. They shop at, everything that what they buy and exchange money with is within their Jewish community, which they support each other.
Yeah.
And I think there hasn't been a lot of I feel like now there's a lot more Latina businesses emerging, which I think is beautiful, and it's going to give us the opportunity to do that. But supporting our local Latina businesses or Hispanic businesses, I think it's going to be really good for us to make an impact.
Yeah, I absolutely love that you say that because it's so true. I think if we're a little more aware of how we give back to our community, even supporting our local vendors or
so I feel like that's going to be a huge impact, and I think Latino buying power is huge, and I think that's why we're also kind of trending per se, because I think the U.S. market has realized how much buying power Latinos have, and now Latinos like to buy products that represent them, that they can identify with. So I love that for everybody, but I also love that for like Araceli Beauty. You know, I think that's something that I started doing, not really realizing that. I just wanted to do that. So yeah, if you need a black eyeliner that's really good, smudge proof, waterproof, I know.
But you know I love the cafe one.
You do. I'm actually wearing the brown one today.
Yes. Oh, it's like on point. Like it's like the perfect tone.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's one of our best products, our best sellers.
Girl, I have like 3 of them, and I still I did the little trick of like flipping the felt in.
It works.
Yes.
It works.
I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay, so in your opinion, how could we improve educating people about the history Latinas in beauty?
Just being more vocal about it, but if I'm being quite honest with you, I don't know if I know like the exact history of Latinas in beauty. I know like classic figures that I love that are in beauty. For example, like I mentioned, Maria Felix, like iconic makeup. But I just think being vocal about it, not being afraid to talk about who you are, how you feel about beauty, and using, you know, your phone. I think that now everybody has it's a powerful tool. You know, you have so much access to information, and if you want to share information, that's one way to share it. So I feel like we can all make a little bit of an impact by sharing what we love, and I just realized I said about the beauty, and I feel like I've learned a lot from different people. So yeah, just sharing information I think would be great.
It's key here. How do you wish to impact the Hispanic community?
I just want to make people feel represented. I love that about Araceli Beauty, and I am so grateful for the way it's been accepted, because now we're going on to year 5, which is really exciting.
It's major.
And a lot of businesses don't make it past year 1, so the fact that I've made it, you know, past 5, and I'm grateful for my clients, consumers. I want to call them my comadres, but you know,
we can comadres.
People who have identified with my brand. I want them to. I love the fact that they feel represented, that they love the products. I just love the fact that I'm able to offer something that people can identify with.
Yeah, I think Araceli Beauty is making an impact, a tremendous one. So
I hope so.
And the fact that you're gonna hit 5 years, like, are you gonna be celebrating?
I am.
Okay. Stay tuned.
You stay tuned.
What we like to do here for Small Biz Talk is, if you could give your younger self a small biz talk, what would it be?
I would definitely tell myself not to be afraid and not to be so critical, because I feel like when I started, I was scared of opinions, and I've learned that people are going to have an opinion regardless of what you do, you know, and it's unfair for you to feel the pressure of opinions when, like, you have opinions. You know, if a girl walks in a room, and I'm not saying this is negative, but I have an opinion. You know, you look at somebody and have an opinion. It doesn't have to be bad, but regardless, people have opinions. Yeah. And I think we constantly get consumed of, what are people thinking about me? Like, it doesn't matter. People's opinions are none of your business. And that's the best advice that I learned. Like, what people think of you is none of your business. And if I could tell my younger self that, I would live a little bit more free, because I feel like for a while I was very, very, very cautious of what do people think about me? What if I do this? What are they like? It doesn't matter. So if I could give my younger self a piece of advice, it's don't let that get to you. Stop thinking that everybody is thinking about you right now, because they're not. You know, it's not that serious. You walk into a room and people forget about you in 2 seconds. And to take risks. I would tell people to take a risk because the days are going to pass no matter what. I feel like sometimes people don't want to start something because it's going to take a long time, but that time's still going to pass. Whether you like it or not, whether you do something or not, that time is still, those 4 years, those 3 years are still going to pass. So might as well do something that you took a risk doing. And if it fails, at least you tried it.
Yeah, you get back up.
Yeah.
Do it again. Oh, I love that. That's a piece of advice. What does Hispanic Heritage Month mean to you?
It means so much to me because during this time, I also launched Araceli Beauty. So Araceli Beauty launched very calculated on September 16th, which is Mexican Independence Day.
Hey.
So it means the anniversary of Araceli Beauty, which is during this time. So this time always reminds me of my journey, how I started. But I think it's also a beautiful time to come together and you learn from another culture something that you didn't know. So I always get very excited to learn something new, connect. I feel like that's, even though I feel like I'm always connected with my Hispanic heritage, I feel like that's a time where everybody gets to come together and it just makes it a little bit more fun and celebratory.
Yeah, that's why we're here.
Yes,
We're celebrating.
Yes. So I love it. I mean, I love Hispanic Heritage Month.
No,
And it also, right, like, my birthday doesn't quite fall within the time frame, but it's right after, so I'm like, it's a build-up to it. So I love this time.
My grandfather always told me, oh, nacitas el día del grito, because I'm September 15th.
Are you really?
Yeah. So I was like, we'll be celebrating.
And your birthday, yes.
No, but
That's
that's
awesome.
so cool that you launched it, or Araceli Beauty, on Hispanic Heritage Month, like the day, September 16th.
September 16th. I wanted it to be meaningful, and it was true to the brand. So everything, I'm
Yeah.
telling you, everything has been so calculated and thought out, and we think about so many details. So that was such like a beautiful day for us to really launch.
Yeah.
It's such a significant day for the brand, and now I love that that's our anniversary.
I just want to say thank you so much for being here with us,
Thank you
and
so much.
I think you're truly an inspiration. I think to the Hispanic community, myself, even our Ooh I Love team. We all love you. But before you go, we want to give you a little recuerdo.
Oh!
And this is just our little gift.
This
Say
is
thank
classic.
you.
I
know.
get to take the flowers home. I love it. Thank you so much. These are beautiful. I'm going to tell you guys a quick funny story. I recently went to Mexico, to my hometown, and it started to rain. We went to my padrino's 60th birthday, and it started to rain, and he had it was outside, and my mom runs to the car, and it's pouring. Like, Mexican rain is different. Like, it's pouring. I see my mom running back, and I was like, ¿Dónde va? Like, where are you going? She's like, I forgot my flower arrangement. She ran back to get her flower arrangement. I'm like, this is serious, so I appreciate it. This is a sweet gesture. I appreciate it. Thank you
We
so much.
appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. This has been amazing.
Thank you for sharing your story.
Now that I look back, they weren't that great. Things I would do,